I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
really
I like the take on it compared to the original manga, and the Nobuteru Yuki character designs doesn't hurt it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he captured the original feel of the shoujo manga as character designs and updated it.
Because before he looked like Jack Frost before.
Yeah.
Every time I saw him, I said, you know, he reminds me of Jack Frost.
Yeah.
The update looks better.
Yeah.
But you know, even with that, like if we were to, and all of us grew up watching those crazy old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer ads. And I gotta tell you guys, like if they were to tell me that they're gonna do a new updated version, it's like, no, man, just leave that be.
They already have.
Santa Claus in the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Steve, they already have, and it was horrendous, and actually they pulled it.
They did a remake.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they tried to CG the.
That's funny. Oh no.
You said that the golden age of animation was way back when, but one, would you agree that nowadays is more of a golden age for the audience in that there's so much dispersal and availability on an international level?
There is.
Why don't you think that there's been a dissemination of the actual production in that anime is still Japanese and is centralized in the country?
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, one of the things I think that's happened, and the difference between classic anime and what's happening now, is that it's more accessible now to the audience, like you were saying, either by design or by accident, either because they've become more global in their storytelling, yet remaining true to the Japanese culture, or we've become more Japanese. I think it's a little of both. But yeah, there is a difference, and that doesn't, you know, it doesn't change the value of it. I think you're right. I think you touched on that.
But maybe you guys would want to address, you know, the insularity of the industry in Japan. I don't know if it's even what, I mean.
Well, you know what? I wish American anime fans were like Japanese anime fans. You know, 100% willing to spend $75 for 3 episodes on a Blu-ray. No, there's not enough of you out there. And you know, with the whole advent of fast internet and trading software, and despite what people claim, we're going out of business. There won't be a U.S. anime market. And
like I was mentioning with Toshi here.
Yeah, I don't want to change it into a different panel. That's a different panel right there. But the fact is, you know, people aren't buying it. People aren't buying it.
All it costs like $70,000 or something to dub an episode.
It costs less than that.
Yeah, $17,000. I heard some number like that.
Well, you know what? I think most dubbing houses are happy to get 10 these days. So, if they could even get it. I mean, a lot of companies will start switching to sub-only pretty soon because it just doesn't sell enough to make it. I mean, sure, there'll be fans who are happy with that, but look at all the voice actors who are making a living. You know, look at all the directors. And, you know, my whole thing was that I want to be able to watch anime and just not have to read it. You know, learn Japanese or watch it in English. I'd rather not read it in any language. Are you talking in Japanese? Because there's some Japanese voices out there that just grates my teeth. It hurts when I hear it. You have a question?
Yeah. I was wondering, I think you guys touched on this a little bit, but I'd be interested to hear you go into detail a little bit more. So, how has the industry in Japan adapted to the fact that now that we have internet and now that we have all these crazy people in all these weird countries that call themselves otakus, that they're not marketing to Japan only to their Japanese audiences any longer, but they have all these other customers.
Depends on the studio.
Do you
really
think
does.
that anime in Japan has changed because their audiences are different? And if so, how? And how does this fit into the technological component?
Part of what I saw over there just recently, like I was saying, when Toshi and I were just kind of going back and forth just about it a little bit earlier, like anime used to be on like at 6:30 in the afternoon, starting at 6:30 with some decent anime blocks going all the way up to about 8 or 9.
No,
or 7:30,
it's from 4 till about 7.
4 to 7.
3-hour block, all the channels,
You're right.
and it was filled with anime.
And it was full of funny stuff and exciting, just goofy, fun stuff. And then in the mornings too, like from 4:30 to something before the kids went to school.
And then Sundays all morning, you know.
Right. Now it was like, just recently I had a hard time finding anything, let alone actually getting to something. And even then it was like at 2 or 3 in the morning. And a lot of the cartoons now, and I think to the you know, the now exposed more to the world audience and the internet world, so to speak, a lot of the stuff has just become more and more doom, gloom, and death, destruction, just very, very, maybe relevant more to the newer audiences because maybe the newer audiences are more into that kind of drama, but like, man, it's like nothing's funny anymore. Nothing's really hysterically comical.
You know
But
what?
I can't say that's
You know what?
everything,
We're just getting too old.
Maybe that too. Yeah,
Sorry.
you know, like back when we were doing it back in the 80s, you know, like Hope to No Ken was probably the most so-called post-dramatic whatever thing at the time, you know, so. But even now, that's pretty damn funny compared to a lot of the stuff that's out there now.
But getting back to your question, that's a whole different panel itself.
Yeah.
Again, and we're supposed to be talking about the good old days here.
That's
So,
Honey, don't you go?
That's funny. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I mean,
That's new.
a lot of
It's
the
just hard to get
issues aside, you know, the U.S. market needs help. I think the world market needs help. Japan's not going to survive on their own, and with the U.S. dropping out and everything, things are going to change real soon.
Yeah, but I think you guys would agree that, I mean, Japan, in terms of intellectual properties like anime and manga, is not very good at marketing overseas.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they just
They're
lack
trying.
strategies. Yeah, but I mean, many of you probably know that one of the most popular fan sites, Crunchyroll.com, essentially is trying to go legit right now. And when I talked to the folks who, when they were in that process last year, you know, they told me they basically went to Tokyo in February of 2008 and went to several studios and said, what is your digital strategy? We want to partner with you. And no surprise, they had no digital strategy. So the guys from Crunchyroll went back to California. This is their side of the story.
Yeah.
But tried to concoct some kind of digital strategy that would be acceptable in partnerships with anime studios. So that impetus was not coming from the Japan side. That was coming from these guys in California who were trying to figure out a way to salvage an industry that, as these
Yes.
gentlemen said,
Now, just to be the advocate to that one, my view, this is not the views of anybody Crunchyroll, business model-wise, I think they have a valid strategy. It's the infrastructure that I have a problem with. They built their whole web streaming infrastructure on pirated anime. They've got a great system going. They've worked out all the kinks by stepping on the U.S. industry. All of a sudden, they go to Japan and say, hey, we're legit. We got a whole great setup going. We'll give you this much. How about it? Japan was never affected by what they were doing in the U.S. They say, yeah, okay, you want to give us money for this? Yeah, sure, go ahead. All these partnerships started happening which was built
on the backs of
us,
right.
at a cost of our jobs, you know, existence of our companies. And that right there makes me just makes me sick to my stomach, because Japan never saw what's happened in the U.S. industry.
Right.
Long as they get their minimum guarantees and they get their show's license, they don't really care.
I had a conversation with a president of a major animation house in Japan, and what he was telling me was that Japan makes all these wonderful digital devices, everything, but nobody in the business community in the animation world had any idea what to do with it.
That's true.
Really didn't know, and wasn't really interested in trying to find a way to exploit it and to make things. And that's how you speak to, you know, if you want to get to young people in America, that's where you find them, and they're just not there yet.
And to add on to that too, one of the things that was just hurting both the U.S. releases and the Japanese releases as well was just this inability to understand that, man, the moment that something got broadcast overseas, it was over here like quick as lightning with the internet.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of the American companies would try like crazy to convince the Japanese, look, let's do simultaneous releases.
Hey, I'm
You
doing
know?
it.
Yeah. Finally, now.
I mean, I'm doing it.
Finally,
Kurokami,
thank
8
God,
hours
yeah.
after the Japanese episode
Thank
airs in
goodness.
Japan, the English episode is